Welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. This is my review for Strange New Worlds, Star Trek. Strange New Worlds, I should say. Season 1, Episode 1. It's finally here, the most highly anticipated Star Trek show in a very long time. And it is titled Strange New Worlds. They could have been a little more creative, in my opinion. But, it is what it is. Of course, the standard spoiler warning applies. You will have needed to watch that episode before watching this review. So I'm super excited for this show. I think it's going to be great. I thought this was a very effective pilot episode, a very effective first episode. It did a great job in setting up the new characters and also setting up where our familiar characters are in their lives and how that's going to affect them on the Enterprise moving forward. A lot of great stuff in this episode. I'm really pumped about the characters this year. I think that that above all else is what I'm really excited about with this show. That said, I think the plot itself was a little weak, and then when I go back and look at this episode at the end of the season, I am pretty sure I will be counting it as among the weaker episodes of the season, especially plot-wise. The story was a kind of a very old Star Trek cliche, and I'll get into more details of that in a few minutes. But what you need to know right now for my intro is that I loved the character introductions. I thought it was a very effective first episode. Even if the story was lacking, I am super duper pumped for this show. I'm so happy it's finally here. Also, the opening credits was great. We already got a preview of that last week. It was dropped on YouTube. They didn't have the actual credits in that sequence when they showed it on YouTube last week. So it was interesting to me to see that they have all the actors' names boom, 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 right while Pike is still doing his Space, the Final Frontier spiel. So that's a little different from previous Trek shows, but I love it. Okay, so we start off where we knew we were going to start off with Pike with the beard, riding the horse, not wanting to go back. We have Admiral Robert April coming in to get him. Now I don't think they call him out by his first name, but they do mention that it's Admiral April. And I did watch a YouTube video earlier this week that confirmed that this is going to be Robert April. So Robert April, for those of you who don't know, was the original captain of the Enterprise before Pike, and in non-canon term or in meta terms in real life, I believe Robert April was the original name of the captain of the Enterprise in Gene Roddenberry's first draft when he was first coming up for the idea of Star Trek, but that eventually changed to Christopher Pike for the pilot episode The Cage. Robert April's only appeared previously in one episode, and that was on the animated series, and he was an old white dude, and pretty sure he was conceived of as a white dude. So I think it's great that he has been reconceptualized as a black dude, but what this proves to me is what I've always known is when CBS tries to tell me that the animated series is canon, I call bullshit. It is not canon. How come he's an old white dude and he's a black dude now? Because the animated series is not canon. There was a fucking holodeck in the animated series. It's bullshit. They didn't have a holodeck. I mean, they call it the rec room, but it was the same thing. They didn't have a holodeck on the original Enterprise, so that's bullshit. So I defy CBS trying to tell me the animated series is canon. But anyways, Pike's journey in this episode was every bit as good as I was hoping it would be, as we knew he would be struggling with what he discovered on I think it was the Klingon moon of Boreth back in Discovery. And I like all the shout outs to Discovery and those events all throughout this episode. I even like that they state those events as kind of being the cause of this alien species getting a hold of warp technology and using it for a bomb. I really liked all that. It really shows me that this show is committed to continuity, even if it's not serialized. So I love that. It's one of my biggest complaints about Voyager and TNG and DS9 at times as well. Hard times, hard times. Okay, mind's eye. Excuse me, a little cough there. So excited about that continuity. And we see in the previews for future episodes, I don't think he's finished with that yet. There's a line where Una is talking to him about that, and I think he's still going to struggle with it. So I'm glad about that. I'm glad that that little realization that he had talking to Leon and then the speech that he gave to the aliens doesn't just, okay, I'm totally fine now, because it shouldn't. So he should still be struggling with it, and it looks like he will be, and I love that. We get a lot of the other characters. I actually really like Ahura. I question why a cadet would be the full-time communications officer, but sure. She's Ahura, so she gets to be. She's the main character. Spock, I don't know about this T'Pring thing. So this is supposed to be about 10 years before the original series, right? So it's not 7 years before? Like, this isn't another instance of Poon Far? I thought they only had sex with Poon Far. I'm confused by that. But I don't love the T'Pring thing, but whatever, it's fine. So, let's see. We get a pretty good introduction to Lian Noonien Singh. I still don't like that they call her Noonien Singh. What the fuck is that? I wish they would just name her something else, but it is what it is. I'm very curious to hear more about her backstory. We get a little bit of it in this episode, and she, without knowing, actually helps Pike to kind of come to some conclusions about his own, facing of death. I thought that was really nice. Love me some Dr. Mbenga. Still not a huge fan of Nurse Chapel and how she's portrayed because she's completely different. I mean, and I said this last week with my live discussion with my brother Mark, is that, yeah, I mean, I get that Nurse Chapel needed to be changed as a character because she's really a two-dimensional character in the original series, and just is pining over Spock all the time, doesn't really have much to do or say, doesn't have much of a personality. So yeah, you gotta change her if you're gonna have her, but I would prefer they just not have her at all, have a completely different character. Actress is great, you could still hire that actress, have her play a completely different character, is what I say. We don't get Himmer until the very end. We see him beaming on. We were told at the beginning that there is no chief engineer. We also get a misdirect about a Lieutenant Kirk, and I'm like, what? We're going to have Captain Kirk? I thought we were going to have James Kirk until next year, and it's Samuel Kirk, who was it canonized before that he was in Starfleet? I didn't think he was in Starfleet, but I guess he is now. So Spock served with Kirk's brother, huh? All right. And apparently he's his supervisor. Okay, I think that's a little canon breaking, but whatever. That's fine. And Ortegas, we only get a little bit of her, but I think she's going to be every bit as delightful as I thought she would be in the trailers. Just great little snarky comments that she makes. Oh, Jesus, every time it's me on the captain's chair, something like this happens. I can't wait to get more of her. So this pilot really did a great job of getting me excited for the characters. It just really did a great job. Now, where it didn't do a great job is the old Star Trek cliche that if a captain goes down and gives a speech, everything's going to be hunky-dory. And I will say that I was pleased that the planet wasn't as parallel Earthy as I feared it might be, because I read a spoiler-free review in advance of someone who got the episode in advance, and they mentioned it's like the old parallel Earth type thing, like what the original series used to do, and I was thinking like 1920s Chicago or ancient Rome or Nazis or things like that, but it wasn't that. It was more like the Next Generation episode, The First Contact, or not the movie, but the episode, or other Next Generation and Voyager episodes where they kind of mirror Earth's society from the past, which has never been my favorite thing, but it's still better than it being like 1920s Chicago. And I guess if an alien beams down on this planet and gives a little speech, then their war is finished. Can you imagine if an alien like beamed down and gave a little speech like that on Earth? Do you think all the right wing in the United States and the left wing in the United States would all hug each other and go, "Oh, let's put aside our differences"? No, because misinformation is a huge part of that. Hatred is a huge part of that. So it's not that easy. And Star Trek has always done that, but I feel like they should have learned by now that it's not that easy. I don't know. It was just a means to an end. It was a means to introducing these characters. Also, we are one episode in, and already, ding 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 ding, Captain Pike breaks the Prime Directive, which doesn't get dubbed the Prime Directive till the end of the episode. It's still called General Order 1, which I believe they also refer to it as in Discovery. But he just flat out says, "Fuck the Prime Directive." I mean, I think he said screw General Order 1, but he basically said fuck the Prime Directive. I love it because every captain has to say fuck the Prime Directive at some point in the series, and Captain Pike just directly did it. Captain Kirk would just mock the Prime Directive so many times. And nothing happened to him. And I didn't really love how at the end, Admiral April was like, "Yeah, we're thinking of changing General Order 1 to the Prime Directive." And Pike is like, "Oh, that won't stick." I don't like the frequentist things that they do. I hope they don't do too many things like that throughout this season. Also, I'm just always so confused about the history of Star Trek. Because according to the episode Past Tense in Deep Space Nine, after the Bell Riots in 2024, everything was hunky-dory. There's no other wars or anything like that. But now... and also the Eugenic Wars has been pushed back. It was supposed to be 1996 originally. Now it's been pushed back, and now all these other wars are going to happen, and 30% of the population is going to get wiped out, which is consistent with the Next Generation pilot episode, A Counter at Farpoint, but not consistent with a lot of other things. Star Trek, the history of Earth in Star Trek is very... it's just all over the place. But that's fine. That's a Star Trek thing. That's not a fault to this episode. Alrighty then, so I'm on a time crunch for this video, so I will get going. Let me go ahead and give you my rating out of 10. So 1's the lowest possible score, 10's the highest possible score. My rating out of 10 for the episode Strange New Worlds is an 8. And that's primarily because it was an effective pilot. It got me pumped for the season, got me pumped for the character stories that we're going to get. The story was lacking. If this was an episode that was in the middle of the season, then it would probably be closer to a 5 or a 6, just based off of the story. But because it's the pilot and it was a very effective pilot, very good at setting up for what is to come, then it is worth an 8. And I'm super excited to continue forward. Not super excited to have to watch the finale of Picard and do one more review of that, but I'm excited about this. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you soon. Goodbye.